Have you ever played Space Invaders? I should hope so, considering it's almost been out for 40 years now. Simple graphics, addicting gameplay, and sound effects that are easily recognisable. It's not hard to see why the game was popular when it was released back in the arcades in 1978, and why it's still popular today. But do you know what could have killed off all of that fame and history? Space Invaders Invasion Day. Quite possibly one of the worst games I've ever played, and one that won't be coming back out of Xbox anytime soon. Having owned the game for many years, I thought I'd pop it in and have a look for myself. Why do I own it if I already knew it was a bad game? My PS2 collection is much like my DVD collection. For every good game or film I own, I have at least 10 bad ones. It's not hard to see where this game goes wrong. Trying to update a tried and tested formula that Taito himself invented, Invasion Day was released back in 2002 to critical dismay and disgust. Widely regarded as one of the worst games of that year and any other, it fails to do the name Space Invaders justice. The opening cinematic, that lasted 6 minutes too long for such a simple concept, made a little ray of hope that some effort had been made at least. It's a shame that only the intro and the ending credits had so much time spent on them, as from the moment I started playing I knew this was going to be a painful experience. Choosing either between a single player story mode or a 1 to 2 player survival mode, there's not much else to do in the game. No unlockables, no extra characters or missions. The only extra thing is the original game, which is accessed by putting a cheat in on the title screen. I was never particularly too good at Space Invaders. I used to play it back on my Spectrum, but I was never that good at it. Saying that, you don't really need to be too good at this game. I mean, I found that as I was dying all the time in the single player mode and with the unlimited continues, it didn't really make a difference whether I died or not. It just unfortunately meant that I had no reason not to complete it. And the only penalty being that my score was getting erased each time, I didn't really care. The back of the box actually made it sound quite interesting. I mean, to quote, "A teenager who lost his friends to the Space Invaders, a camera woman searching for her missing boyfriend, a police officer whose partner was killed in action. 3 characters, sworn to revenge their loss, must confront a daunting enemy." I mean, it actually looks pretty fun. But if it wasn't for the back of the box and the tiny bit of story that was inside the manual, you would have no idea what the actual storyline would be. I mean, just take a look at these brief bits from the intro cinematic. At first it looks like there might be some sort of storyline, some deep storyline for each character. How little could I be proven wrong? I mean, why is she even taking a shower if there's a massive invasion going on? And why is Naji the cop the only one wearing this special suit? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I wasn't really expecting it to make sense. But still, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So after choosing between the 3 characters, Justin the teenager, Ashley the camera woman, or Naji the cop, you get to play through 6 stages of grueling, unadulterated hell. Each character does fire a little bit differently. Justin fires in a straight line, Ashley alternates between firing 2 pistols which has a slightly wider area of fire, and the cop fires in a straight line but slightly slower than everyone else. Plus each character has a super weapon. Justin has a wide shot which goes through enemies and is slightly wider, Ashley has a sonic bomb which makes shockwaves that hurt enemies constantly, and Naji has probably the best one out of the bunch, the ricochet spear. It spawns 2 spheres that you can shoot or the enemy can shoot and ricochet bullets back to them, and they last quite a long time and stay in between rounds. It also makes the bullets home in on enemies, so I used it very cheaply. And that's about it for differences with characters. They all move the same, have the same amount of health and starting bombs. The only difference is the endings, which, I'm not gonna lie, is probably the best thing about this game. But I'm not spoiling what those look like just yet. So as I said before, there's 6 stages in the game, each one has a varying amount of waves that you have to participate in, and at the very end there's a boss fight which is an utter slog to get through. This is mainly because you can't tell how close they are to dying as they have no health bar. Now normally I would read the manual for any game, let alone anything that I buy, to make sure that I'm using it or playing it correctly, and I wish that I bothered doing that this time. The one thing I really could have done with knowing before I played through this game 3 times to get all the endings was that every time you get a consecutive shot, it adds to the power of the gun. So the better you do and the less you miss, the faster things die. Instead, I opted for the option of getting killed, respawning and dropping bombs. This is mainly due to the fact that I figured this out on my second playthrough with Ashley at the very last boss. So if I had known this all the way through, things could have gone a lot quicker. Saying that though, trying not to miss in this game is nigh on impossible. I mean, the reason why I managed to figure that out at the very end was because the boss doesn't move, you run around a circle in it, so I couldn't miss. Had all the other enemies in the game like to play the game staying still, it wouldn't be a problem, but because they're all so sporadic, you can't predict where they're going to be, so by the time you shot and your tiny little bullet has come out, it's nowhere to be seen and you end up hitting the background. The power-ups in this game are pretty much useless as well. You've got your health power-ups, which, what was the point of picking them up if I'm looking to die? A speed power-up that makes you run around faster, which doesn't help you fire any faster and just means you get hit quicker. A time stopper which freezes enemies. A laser which makes the gun become a penetrating laser. The rapid fire which makes the automatic fire speed of your gun go faster. A multiplier which makes a double if you attack and home in on enemies. Invincibility which lasts, like all of the power-ups, nowhere near as long as it should. And as the manual puts it, a weapon which makes the player become invincible for a fixed amount of time. Or in reality, what it actually does is gives you another bomb. When you have two of the bombs, you can actually use your super weapon, so if you've only got one left, you can't actually activate it. And you can hold up to a maximum of 10. I know I said before that I didn't read the manual, but it's a little bit hard to know what the power-ups are considering they're colour-coded in the game and in the manual it's black and white. Speaking of the enemies, do they look anything like they used to look? I mean, I know this is an update, but where did they get any of the ideas from? I mean, some of them don't even look like they should be in this game, and I'm pretty sure I recognise some from other games or other franchises that have nothing to do with Space Invaders. And the vast majority of enemies use cheap tactics as much as I did. When something has the ability to randomly pop up out of nowhere, shoot one bullet at you faster than you can shoot a bullet at it, and then go away again, and you have to wait to kill that thing, it becomes the most infuriating game of cat and mouse. As I've said before in previous reviews, I enjoy bullet hell shooters. This on the other hand is not really fair. I mean, the computer can shoot at you wherever you are, has almost homing like bullets and fills the screen with them, but you can barely move properly. You do have a dodge roll which does give you some frames of invincibility, but the timing always seems to be off, and sometimes if I dodged left it wouldn't give me the invincibility, but if I dodged right it would. To be honest though, I'd rather take the hits and get my refill of bombs just so I can wipe out the screen, so I didn't really care after a while. By the end of the third level on the first playthrough of this game, I was so bored that I was basically standing in the middle of the screen just shooting and waiting to die, just so I could get this over with, forgetting that I was then going to have to do it again with two other characters. At the beginning and the end of each level, there's a slight bit of dialogue from the character you've chosen. It's all done in English, so it sounds hilarious. And if it wasn't for the dialogue before the start of the final boss, I probably wouldn't have even bothered playing the rest of this game, let alone decided to review it.
What is this place? What do you want? What? That's my voice. What do you want, Invader? Invader? You are the invader. What are you saying? I hate your voice. I hate your looks. I hate your heart. You are nothing to me. Shut up! What I want is to kill you! All of you! Kill all, kill all, kill all, kill.
The ending cutscene is what makes this game though, and because I saw the first one, I was very intrigued to see if the second and third played out the same, and to my luck they did. After playing this for more hours than I'd like to, I decided not to even bother with survival mode. You don't get any continues because the whole point is to survive as many waves as possible. Who would want to do that? So could I recommend this game? I'd recommend it the same way I would recommend taking a hammer to the head if you had a headache. Apart from the cheesy moments that break up the game, it's so boring and so monotonous. You don't really feel like you're actually having any fun, or at least I didn't when I was playing through it. This is meant to be Space Invaders, the game that actually made a shortage of coins in Japan back in the day. It's nothing like Space Invaders. There's possibly one level that has them flying about you in pants, but other than that, it has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. I can understand that they were trying to update or reboot the franchise, but this wasn't the way to do it. I had more fun playing the hidden original game than I actually did playing the game that I purchased, which doesn't really make a lot of sense in the long run. If you were going to play a version of this game, either play one of the other thousands that you can choose, or my recommendation would be the Space Invaders Anniversary on PlayStation 2. That game actually has some good graphics, 9 different modes, and a lot more varied aspects to the gameplay on the whole. That's a game that you can see that Taito put a lot of love and care in and does the series justice. So my recommendation for this one is, unsurprisingly, don't even touch it. Burn it if you see it, throw it in the bin, because if it wasn't for me being a collector, that's exactly what I'd do with my copy. And just in case you were interested in playing the game, here's some hilarious dialogue just to close out.
Okay guys, give me strength.
Wake up!
Why won't you die?
I did it. Well, this new suit really works. Now I won't ever be beaten.